Hello and welcome. As promised at 3 p.m., we will try and decode the budget. Sports in the budget is what we are calling this particular show. Joining me soon will be G. Rajaraman, who actually joins Rev Sports formally from today. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome Rajaraman into the growing Rev Sports team. He's been one who has sort of been, someone I've worked very closely over the last 1 year odd year, learned quite a bit from, worked collaboratively on a number of projects, and it gives me a lot of pleasure. So the things that we will discuss in this particular show are fundamentally four questions. Let me lay out the questions for you as I wait for Raja to join us. Question number one, and this is very important, is how is the budget? How is the budget? Because how good is the budget? Is it good for sport? Is it not good for sport? That is the fundamental question. I mean, clearly, we will analyze in terms of the money allocation compared to the figures of last year. We have to analyze the budget allocation for this particular year, and then analyze that is the figure good enough or is the increase good enough for Indian sport to go forward. That is question number one that we will be debating and discussing. Question number two that we will be talking about is there is a divergence, or we have seen so far over the last several years, there is a divergence between allocation and spend. There is a clear case of a divergence between allocation and spend. Now, this is a problem. This is a fundamental problem. What is the issue? The issue here, by the way, Shopnil, if you can check on Raja, provided he doesn't have any technical difficulty, as we try and explain the questions. Try and give him a call and see when he is joining, because he's supposed to join the show soon enough. So the second question that we are going to discuss or debate is there is always a divergence between actual allocation and actual spend. So allocation and spend. Today's allocation 3,300 plus crores. When you see the revised spend, which we will get in maybe 2 years from now, you will see that the number is different. Now, that's when the problem arises. If you do not really spend the total money that has been allocated, then what is the point? The point is, and there's Raja. Raja, I was basically laying out the contours that the first question I was planning to ask you is whether this budget is good enough. What is your first reaction to that? The second is the divergence between allocation and spend is what I was explaining to our viewers. So let me go straight to you first. What is your first thought on the budget? There is an increase, in terms of the allocation. So overall, the first sense we get is Asian Games, Olympics. This is a healthy budget. That's my first thought, that it is good for sport. Your thoughts?
I agree with you, Boria. Primarily, it's a healthy budget for sports. We can see an all-round increase for all areas in sport. As you can see on the screen right now, Khelo India has got 1,000 crores. It is the Khelo India scheme that we're talking about. Sports Authority of India has got an enhanced budget, as has the National Assistant to National Sports Federation. I think this is the key. 325 crores from 280 is the key, primarily because this is the money that is being used to enhance the value of sports persons. How they train, where they train, all the money that is spent is primarily from assistance to National Sports Federation. So this is where India's success is earned and lost. And I think this is quite healthy. This is a sharp rise from the 181 from 2 years ago. So it is great that this government is serious about ensuring that sports gets its due. The only thing is a lot of this should be used to ensure that we not only look after the athletes who are currently in position, who are the elite athletes at this point of time, but we should also invest in juniors. We can always say that, look, Khelo India is looking after them, but we need to do a lot more for us to be a powerhouse in sport in the year 2024 in Paris Olympic Games and in 2028, which is where the vision is to get to the top 10. Even the top 20 will be a good achievement in the Olympic Games. But I think we are moving in the right direction. Our athletes need to enhance their own performance, ensure that all the money doesn't go waste. I think this is a good start. We are moving in the right direction. The Prime Minister is keen to use sports as a soft power to showcase India. I think this is actually uh, actualization of what his vision is. So it's good to see money is being allocated. But like you were saying when I joined you, Boria, we need to ensure that a lot of this money is spent, or all of this money is spent.
Yeah, that
Now,
is basically my question number two. Because if you mentioned the Prime Minister, I mean, I want to put this on record that, whether it is Paralympic sport, whether it is Olympic sport, the Prime Minister has been hands-on. I mean, we are not political people here, and this is not a political discussion. But as far as sport is concerned, the Prime Minister has made a significant difference. None of us can disagree with that, and he is hands-on with sport, and that is reflective in this budget. So, as analysts of sport or as sports fans, there is no question that the Prime Minister Modi, is good for sport. Number two, the question that I was about to ask you, if we see, I mean, the data that you had sent me this morning and the data that we were putting out on screen, 2 years down the line, when we see the allocation and actual spend, there is a divergence. And if that divergence happens, then it's a problem. To see 3062 go up to 3397 on paper looks fantastic, that 3,400 crores. Okay, there is a significant 350 crore increase or a healthy 10% plus increase. But if that money, Raja, is not spent, then this entire increase becomes a virtual or a notional one. And in reality, it is a problem. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's very important, Boria, as you pointed out. If we can even bring the graphic back up, we will then be able to show to our viewer that it is one thing to allocate the monies, but altogether another to spend all of that money. Uh, you have the budget estimates. Like last year, we get to see the budget estimates are on the higher side, but the revised estimates have all come down. It is very rarely that you get to see the revised estimates
Can
go up.
we have the graphic on screen when the Raja explains it? You can get it back for us, please. Our producer. Yeah, there you go. Yes, Raja.
Not this one, the
Not
other.
this one. The previous one. Yeah, the previous one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here, no, I don't think we are able to show this here on this because this 653 is actually last year's budget is actually come down, Boria, from 690 or something like that. It has come down for Sports Authority of India. Similarly, for the assistance to National Sports Federation, the money spent has not been as much. The budget papers share that with everybody who's interested. The key is really to be able to spend all the money in productive aspects. I think it is critical that, especially when it comes to assistance to national sport federations, all of the money is spent on the training and on competition of our athletes. You need to have a second line and a third line, especially if you want to envisage getting to the top 20 in the Olympic Games in the year 2028. You need to spend monies from now. You need to start attracting talent from now. You need to start developing training centers from now. You look at someone like a Neeraj Chopra, easily one of the best athletes India has got at this point of time across disciplines. He is spending a lot of time overseas, primarily because we don't have all-weather training centers in India. Now, there must be an attempt to get at least an indoor stadium built for athletics, a 200-meter track, so that people can train through the year within India and not have to go outside of India. But I guess that will happen when we have more athletes, more athletes aspiring to do well at the global level. It is happening. It is a churning process. I think we are moving in the right direction, and we really need to ensure that all the money that we have shown here is spent. I mean, it's a lot of money. You can see how Khelo India, which is now an umbrella program rather than just the Khelo India game, there is an enhanced investment in Khelo India, which means there is scope for infrastructure development, which means there is scope for more and more youngsters to be
Let,
given scholarships.
let me get you on Khelo India, because you mentioned Khelo India. Good that Shoplin's got us back on screen. There is a misconception that all this 1,000 crores is actually for the Khelo India Games. That is not the case. Can you please decode for our viewers and clarify the doubt that it is not for Khelo India Games, but a lot of these schemes have been brought under the overarching umbrella of Khelo India? Just decode that for our viewers.
See, some years ago, we had something called the Panchayati Raj Yuva Krida
Yeah, the PICA.
Paika, as
Yeah.
it was called. Then you have infrastructure development. And then you had this national talent search competition that was being held across the country, and all that was happening. Now you put all that together, it becomes an umbrella program called the Khelo India scheme. Now, because the Khelo India games are branded similarly, A lot of us think that 1,000 crores is for the Kelo India Games, and we think it's a lot a wasted effort. Now it is not all wasted, primarily because this is used for infrastructure development across the country. This is used to provide support to youngsters under the Kelo India scholarship scheme. So there is a lot that's happening with this 1,000 crores. The games themselves might not be the youth games and the university game from the central budget, because the state governments are spending some money as well on the game. But I'm glad you brought this up, Boria. It is a misconception that all this money is being spent on the Kelo India games and nothing is emerging from that.
Final question, because we are sort of literally running out of time on this particular show, and I have seen, if I'm right, that there is a significant allocation yet again on the for the National Sports University in Manipur. So far, while there is allocation for the National Sports University, I haven't seen, and you mentioned this to me in an off-camera conversation, that we haven't seen anything really productive come out of it. Your thoughts on that?
This is shown under other autonomous bodies, Boria. The expense is shown under other autonomous bodies, where there is NADA, which is the National Anti-Doping Agency, which does some work. All of us are aware. They have got about 20 crores as their budget. Then you've got the National Dope Testing Laboratory, which has also got a budget. But primarily, more than 100 crores of that budget that we speak of for other autonomous bodies is reserved for the National Sports University. You want it to be actioning, you want it to be producing more academics, you want it to be producing better coaches, you want it to do a lot more than it is doing at this point of time. It is in Manipur. They've chosen to ensure, again, in keeping with the Prime Minister's vision, Manipur was chosen because they want the Northeast to benefit from it, which is wonderful. But you want to see some results. I think someone like me might get impatient with not much coming out of the university in Manipur so far. It's been around for 4 or 5 years now, but you want more results coming out of there, so that India develops a nice sports science ecosystem. I think we are struggling with that at this point of time.
Yeah, I mean, if you travel to Loughborough, for example, you will know what we are talking about. If you go to even a middle-level university like the University of Central Lancashire, top up near Manchester, you will understand what we are talking about. They've got a 10.2 million pound sports facility. If you go to North America, I mean, the whole American system, the Canadian system, rests on D1, which is academics. The university structure produces your champions. If you go and see at the University of Toronto, for example, the kid track, it is as good as an Olympic track. So look at the sports science laboratories there. You will know what Raja and I are talking about. So that's what our expectation is from the National Sports University in Manipur. But just to sum up, we both consider the budget to be good and healthy for sport. That's point number one. Point number two, we are both hopeful that the allocation and spend will become same. I mean, there will be equal money spent, what has been allocated, and there will not be a divergence there. Point number three, there is Raja has absolutely clearly clarified that it's not about Khelo India Games. This money is not for Khelo India Games, but a number of schemes which have now been clubbed together under Khelo India. So that's point number three. And of course, our expectation from the National Sports University in Manipur is a tad more than what we are getting at this point in time. But overall, a positive day for Indian sport. A lot of sports events are around the corner, Raja. Last final words. Asian Games, 7 months. Olympics, 18 months. So not much time left. So clearly we are in that kind of cycle, the Olympic cycle or the Asian Games cycle, as we call it. Final words.
Absolutely. This is great. There is money in Indian sport, and I think it attracts more money. But without the government support, Olympic sport will struggle a little bit. I'm glad that the government has realized that it needs to pump in a lot more money than it did in the past. But we need to use it better. We need to use it to ensure that we get better results. This 3,300 crores that we saw, Boria, on the screen is for both the Department of Youth Affairs and the Department of Sport. The 3,062 crores that we are seeing here is for both departments of Youth Affairs and for sport. Sports, we've already discussed a number of heads that it comes under. Primarily, it is the 1,000 crores for Kelo India and the 320 crores for the national sports federations. I think these are the two numbers that matter the most to us. This is where we are going to find our champions of the future.
Very, very well said. I mean, we'll finish there. We'll finish there with a lot of hope. A lot of hope and optimism is what we thrive on, what we live for. And this budget has actually sort of enhanced that hope. Hopefully, that hope will be realized and we will get more champions. Thank you very much, Rajaraman. And when you weren't there, I actually announced that today is the first day that you and I are formally working together. You've been
Always
part
a
of
pleasure.
us. That's a pleasure. That's a pleasure on behalf of everybody from Red Sports. Welcome to the family. Plenty to learn from you and plenty to collaborate on. Thank you very much.